A quiet mansion stood behind tall golden gates, where silence had become the language of grief. One morning, a barefoot black boy wandered to its garden and saw a little girl sitting alone beneath the trees. Her eyes were distant, lost inside a world of silence. Without a word, the boy began to sing. His voice was rough, trembling, but full of warmth. Each note drifted through the air like sunlight breaking through clouds. And for the first time in months, the mansion stirred. No one knew it yet, but that song would change their lives forever. Richard Lawson was one of the richest men in the country, a man whose name opened doors and built empires. People called him the Golden Mind, the one who could turn anything into success. But behind those walls of luxury lived a father who would have given all his fortune just to hear his daughter laugh again. His little girl, Amelia, had once filled the house with music and light. She was bright, curious, and loved to hum every song her mother sang. But after the accident that took her mother's life, Amelia's voice disappeared. Days turned into months of silence. Doctors said it was trauma. Specialists said it would take time. Richard tried everything. Private schools, the best therapists, endless treatments, but nothing brought her back. The mansion that once echoed with laughter now felt like a museum of memories. Servants whispered in the hallways. Richard worked longer hours, pretending not to hear the emptiness. He had built a world of success for everyone to see, yet in his heart, he was a man surrounded by quiet shadows. His name was Malik, a boy from the streets, barefoot, hungry, but carrying a voice that could calm storms. Every day he sang by the market stalls for a few coins, his melodies echoing between broken walls and busy roads. But that morning his song carried him farther than usual. Through the bars of a tall iron gate he saw her, a young girl sitting alone beneath a tree staring at the ground. Something about her stillness pulled at his heart. He knew that look, the look of someone trapped inside their own silence. Malik stepped closer, unsure if he should be there. Then with a deep breath he began to sing, softly, gently, as if afraid to disturb the wind. His voice filled the garden, warm and soulful, weaving stories of hope and light. At first Amelia didn't move, but then her eyes flickered. Her fingers began to tap against her chair, once, twice, in rhythm with the song. And for the first time in months, something inside her seemed to wake. From his study upstairs, Richard Lawson froze. A sound, faint, unfamiliar, drifted through the open window. It wasn't the piano. It wasn't the television. It was singing. He rose from his chair and followed the melody to the balcony. And there, beneath the sunlight, he saw it, his daughter swaying gently, eyes lifted, lips moving to the tune, and standing before her. A barefoot black boy singing like his life depended on it. For a moment Richard's heart clenched with anger. How had this stranger entered his property? Where were the guards? But before he could shout, he saw something he hadn't seen in so long, Amelia's smile. A real one, soft, bright, alive. His anger melted into disbelief. The boy's song filled the garden, and with every note his daughter's face seemed to bloom. It wasn't therapy, it wasn't medicine, it wasn't money. It was music. And it was working. Richard stood silently, hand on the railing, his chest tightening with something he had almost forgotten, hope. The next afternoon, the boy returned. No invitation, no permission, only a quiet belief that his song still belonged there. And once again Amelia was waiting beneath the tree, her small hands folded in her lap, eyes searching the gate. When Malik began to sing, she smiled instantly. Her fingers tapped against the armrest, her head tilted side to side, following every note. The garden, once silent, was alive again, filled with rhythm, with laughter, with light. Richard watched from the balcony, torn between curiosity and wonder. He didn't send the boy away this time. Instead, he gave simple instructions to the guards. Let him in, at this hour only, and make sure he eats before he leaves. Day after day, Malik sang, some days soft lullabies, other days joyful tunes that made Amelia laugh so hard she forgot her sadness. And slowly something beautiful began to happen. She clapped to the beat. She whispered small words between songs. Her eyes sparkled again. For the first time in years, the mansion echoed not with silence, but with song. It happened one golden afternoon. The sky was calm, the breeze soft, and Malik's voice drifted gently through the garden. He began to sing a song he had never sung before, a simple lullaby his own mother used to hum when he was small. The moment the melody reached Amelia's ears, something changed. Her head lifted higher. Her eyes widened, shimmering with emotion. It was a tune she knew, a lullaby her mother used to sing before the accident. Malik didn't know this, but each note was unlocking a door in her heart. Richard stood at the balcony, frozen, afraid to even breathe. Then softly he heard it, a small voice joining in. It was Amelia. Her lips moved, her voice fragile but clear. She was singing. Word by word, line by line, she followed the song, her voice trembling through the air like a prayer. Tears filled Richard's eyes. For months he had begged doctors for a single word, and now his daughter was singing a song of her own. It wasn't therapy that healed her. It was love, carried on a song. That evening, when the garden was quiet and the stars began to glow, Richard called Malik to sit with him. For the first time, the boy wasn't singing. He was simply there, shy, silent, unsure why he'd been asked to stay. Richard looked at him carefully. This child, barefoot and thin, had done what the world's best doctors could not. He cleared his throat softly. "Tell me, son, why do you sing?" Malik hesitated, his voice low. "When I sing, sir, the hunger feels lighter. People stop for a moment. Sometimes they smile. When they smile, I don't feel invisible anymore." The words struck Richard deeper than he expected. He thought of all the people he had passed by in his life, all the faces he had never truly seen. And then he looked at his daughter, who had found her voice because this boy refused to let sadness win. Richard leaned back, eyes glistening. "Maybe," he whispered, "broken hearts recognize each other through song." For the first time in years, he felt peace. In that quiet garden under the stars, he realized something money could never teach him, that kindness heals in ways science never will. Days passed, and music became part of the mansion's rhythm, morning melodies, evening laughter, soft songs floating through open windows. Then one afternoon, something extraordinary happened. Malik was singing in the garden, a joyful tune that made Amelia laugh until her cheeks glowed. Halfway through the song, she raised her hand and whispered, "Wait, I want to try something." The garden fell silent. She placed both hands on the arms of her chair, her body trembling with effort. Malik's eyes widened. Richard stood frozen on the steps. Slowly, painfully, Amelia began to rise. Her legs shook, her shoulders strained, but she didn't stop. And then she was standing. For the first time since the accident, she stood tall beneath the afternoon sun. Malik gasped, covering his mouth, tears spilling down his face. "You did it," he cried. "You're standing, Amelia." Richard rushed forward, kneeling beside her, his voice breaking. "I saw, sweetheart. I saw." For a moment none of them spoke. Only the soft wind, only the quiet joy of a miracle unfolding. The silence that once haunted the mansion had finally become holy. That night the mansion glowed with warmth it hadn't felt in years. Servants smiled, laughter filled the halls, and for the first time Amelia slept peacefully, her favorite lullaby playing softly in the distance. Richard found Malik sitting quietly on the back steps, knees drawn to his chest, staring into the night. He sat beside him, the two of them silent for a while. Then Richard spoke gently. "You shouldn't be out here alone." Malik gave a small shrug. "I'm used to it, sir." Richard turned to him, voice steady. "Not anymore. This is your home now." Malik looked up, unsure if he'd heard correctly. Richard smiled through misty eyes. "You'll eat 3 times a day. You'll go to school. And you'll never have to sing on the streets again." Malik's lips trembled. "Sir, thank you." Richard shook his head. "No, son. I should thank you. You gave my daughter something no one else could, hope." That night, for the first time in his life, Malik lay on a real bed, safe under a roof, his heart full. He closed his eyes, and for the first time, his dreams didn't smell of dust or hunger. They smelled of home. Word of the story spread across the city. The billionaire who took in a boy from the streets, and the song that helped his autistic daughter find her voice again. Some called it foolish, some called it faith, but those who truly understood called it love. Reporters asked Richard if he worried about his reputation. He smiled softly and said, "My daughter smiles again. That's the only image I care about. Today the mansion is no longer silent. Each morning begins with laughter and melody." Amelia plays the piano while Malik sings beside her, and Richard watches from the balcony, peace shining in his eyes. He once thought wealth was power, But now he knows. The greatest power is kindness. Because sometimes healing doesn't come from doctors or money. It comes from love, compassion, and the courage to see someone others overlook. If this story touched your heart, let us know where you're watching from. And remember, stay kind, stay strong, and never stop believing in the power of love.